We are all in a very interesting place. Most of us don't know what to do as parents. We don't know what to say when our kids come home with all of this stuff, and we're like, it's great in theory, and we can talk about it, as adults. But when it comes to coming into our own home and we're dealing with our kids, I don't know about you, but I do, and I talk about this stuff all the time, and I have a hard time going, no, wait a minute. Because it's one thing, it's in theory, it's about kids. It's another when it's like, oh, crap, that's my kid talking to me. And we just need to help each other out. One of the things that you could do is get your kids out of school. I highly recommend it. But that's not for everybody. But more of us should be considering that if you can. It's really hard work. Somebody who's really leading this, an education freedom advocate, host of Schools Out, is Sam Sorbo. Sam, hi, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. And it pains me, Glenn, to hear you say how hard home education is, because it actually is one of the easiest things that you can do. And the reason that we think that it's so hard is because the educators, and I put that word in air quotes, the educators taught us how hard it is. Well, that's nice because that's job security for them, but it's a lie.
Okay, well, hang on just a second. Sam, I homeschooled my own kids along with my wife. And it's, the difference is, first of all, like I could help them with history like nobody's business. I could help them with things like that. Math was extremely difficult. Luckily, my wife was a business major and she can do math and help. It was difficult because it's not how we grew up thinking that was something we had to do on top of our job, but we should look at it the opposite way. That is our job, and everything else we do is secondary.
Oh, okay. I like that. And I would also add to that you were schooling your children to the standards of the education system. And the education system that we have in the United States has made those standards almost impossible to reach now. And just look at what they're doing as proof of how they don't know really what education really is. And that's what my mission has been, is to help parents kind of recalibrate and redefine what we mean by education, because it's clearly not what they're doing in school.
It clearly isn't.
Why are we doing anything that the schools have taught us?
100%. Here's the problem, and this is a problem with the whole country on even the Constitution. We say we want to be free, but we don't even understand. There is no institutional knowledge remaining on what freedom means, what the Bill of Rights means, because we haven't taught it for so long. So really, 30 years ago, only weirdos were, supposedly, homeschooling. Remember? I mean, that's the way it was. You were like, oh, wow, that's your child's going to be socially retarded. No, your child turned out great, and everybody else is aiming so low. However, there's no institutional knowledge. So what is it that you give to people who say, okay, I can't take the school anymore, but I don't know if I can do this? How can you equip parents?
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. I give them confidence. I've written a book called The Playbook for Home Learning, and it's a series of 15 videos that live online. It's a subscription. And actually, for your listeners, I'm offering a 50% discount because this is so important to me to put it in the hands of parents to free them. It's an emancipation project. We are enslaved by our schools, and that is completely inappropriate. And it's wrongheaded. And if you look at, we started this conversation with the idea that the schools are now teaching our children absolute nonsense, right? So why are we even looking to them for the definition of education when they clearly don't know what that should be? And the freedom model really teaches the parent that education, look, you won't learn anything that you don't specifically purpose to teach yourself. Okay? Mm-hmm. Even children purpose to teach themselves things, sometimes things we don't want them to learn, but certainly things that they want to know because, look, every child is invested with curiosity, right? The school's job now is to kill that curiosity.
Yes.
To tell the child, no, you will learn this. You will learn math at 10 a.m. You will learn history at 11 a.m. And you will learn lies about your gender at noon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just wrong-headed. If you set the child free, you give them some of the tools of learning, like you teach the child how to read, and any adult can teach a child how to read. You teach the child how to do basic math, right? Then you set the child free without having killed the curiosity within the child. The child will then teach himself everything that he really needs to learn. And your job as the parent is to guide the child into becoming not the best student that he can become, but the best adult that he can become in the world, right? And so that goes into civics and civic engagement and charitable acts and all of the things that make a good human being, not the things that our school teaches us. Our schools teach us college prep and career readiness.
Mm-hmm.
College prep and career readiness, right? Well, what is that? Well, that just means that your child's self-worth should be tied to the almighty dollar. And that's wrong. Because when we grow up to be 60 years old and we're looking at end of life and we've been deprived of any spirituality because the schools tell us, no, spirituality is poppycock. It's nonsense. Don't concentrate on religion. Religion is bad, right? It tells us, no, your self-worth is how much money you've earned. So a 60-year-old looking at the end of life, because let's face it, 60 years old, you're on the way down, right?
Now, wait a minute.
You're
I'm turning
that
60.
Going,
Wait a
okay,
minute.
I'm sorry. Right? But you're looking at that and you're going, what's my
Yes.
life worth?
Yes.
Maybe you've grabbed the brass ring. Maybe you haven't, right? And then you're just disgruntled and you're like, well, of course I'm sad. Of course I'm lost. I didn't get the money, right? But if you did get the money, you're still looking at end of life and you're going, oh my gosh, why am I not happy? And that's when you go on the drugs or you get a Ferrari or you trade in the wife or you get a better looking pool boy, right? But that's not the answer. And we all know it. We all know these things intrinsically. We've been lied to our whole lives by a system that we call education, but it's not education. It's a school system. It's schooling, and it's not education. And so if we take a step back and we start to really think about what do we mean by education, the education of our child, then it starts to become easier than you ever imagined and actually better than you ever dreamed it could be, because then we're talking about relationship. So when people look at me when I had my 3 teenagers and they'd be like, oh my gosh, 3 teenagers, how do you manage? And I'd be like, I don't know what you mean. My relationship with my teens is amazing.
Yeah.
Teenage rebellion doesn't exist in this paradigm.
I have a great relationship with my kids, but teenagers still a little bit. There's times. Sam, I noticed that you say it's not homeschooling, it's home learning. I love that, and I know that's for a reason. Tell me what the reason was.
Well, because I want to get away from school, because school is child abuse. School is child abuse. The first thing the child learns when the child goes to school, what do you have to do when you want to ask a question?
Raise your hand.
You have to raise your hand, okay? That's a barrier to entry. You have to perform a task, a menial task at that, to ask permission to learn. That is anti-education. Learning is available to all, anytime they choose to avail themselves of it. But this paradigm, the teaching school paradigm, is no, you have to ask permission in order to access information. And of course, now we have the internet, so we know that that's a lie, but we still submit our children to that terrible, terrible lie the first day of school.
Yeah.
It's anti-child, it's anti-education, it's anti-God. It's anti, right, education. So the first thing the child learns is don't ask. That's the first thing the child learns. Then they learn not to fail because failure's bad. Ask any entrepreneur their secret to success. And they will say, well, I failed a lot, right? But I got back up and I kept trying. But in school, you're taught no, failure's bad. So that lesson is don't try. So the schools teach us don't ask, don't try. And then the final lesson that every kid wants to know, right, is what's going to be on the exam. Will this be on the exam? Because I don't want to have to learn anything that I don't need to know for the exam, because education is all about checking the box.
Right.
That's a lie, okay? So that's don't think. So the lessons from our school system, and this is schooling, is don't ask, don't try, don't think. That's anti-education. It's anti-child. And so why are we subjecting ourselves to this, to the system, to the institution? And people say, but Sam, kids have to raise their hands in school because otherwise it would be chaos. It would be mayhem in the classroom. And my answer is, well, that's your problem. Because when you assemble a group of children like that, that's anti-child, it's anti-individual, right? We're teaching children to conform, that's anti-American, right? We're individuals, we're a nation of individuals. The whole system is wrong. And so my mission is to set parents free. It's an emancipation mission, it's anti-slavery, right? It's to set parents free. And by the way, we have the examples. Bill Gates didn't graduate college. Zuckerberg didn't graduate college. You know what I mean? Like, we have all these examples, but we think somehow they're the anomalies. They're the anomalies because they stepped outside the system. Outside the system, it's joyful out here.
I have to tell you, my son really doesn't want to go to college yet. He's like, I don't. And I'm cool with that, but I feel so awkward around other parents like, he hasn't applied for college. And I'm like, nope. He needs to go I do, but it's weird.
He thinks
it's weird.
Well, okay, it's weird because your paradigm was you went to school.
No, I didn't.
My paradigm was I went to school. You didn't go to school.
I didn't go to college. I didn't. And that's why I believe
Yeah, but you had 12 years of indoctrination.
Yes.
College was the answer, right? But college and the indoctrination system of our schooling now is it's like the conveyor belt, right?
Yeah.
So we're teaching children how to build Ford Model Ts. I mean, let's face it, our economy has shifted tremendously. So half the jobs that the kids are going to be eligible for today have not been created yet. And yet we're still educating them as if they're going to work on a Model T assembly line.
Right.
Okay. So children who don't want to go to college, well, first of all, the question isn't what college. The question really ought to be whether college, right?
Yes.
Why college? Well, if you don't know why you're going to college, why are you spending that money?
Amen. Sam, can we get your classes at samsorbo.com, or where do you find?
Everything is at samsorbo.com. If you click on the banner at the top for the discount, it'll give you the discount. I run an organization called Underground Education because I feel like we're emancipating people from this system. And so it's Underground Education. You can actually join the platform for free to continue the discussion. And then the Academy is where the videos live for the playbook. And that's just an online resource that's a subscription model. So everything's available at samsorbo.com. And I really appreciate you having this conversation, Glenn.
You bet, Sam.
This is the most important conversation in the nation right now because it's the only way we're going to save the country.
Our children, their education and their safety is really paramount right now. Thank you so much.